You are listening to the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast with your host, Eric Logan. No Gimmicks, Just Sweat is dedicated to hearing the journeys and unique stories behind an athlete's training and what drives them. Get inspired to own your life and make the impossible possible. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Also, please take a few seconds to rate the show and drop me a review. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Gimmicks, Just Sweat. And today we welcome Hallie Fitzsimons to the show. Hallie, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good.
It's a wonderful day outside. It's a beautiful day. A little chilly, but beautiful day.
Lucky you. We have like rain coming up. All indoor training this next week.
All right. As with every show, we kind of want to break the ice a little bit. This season, we're doing something a little bit differently. It's going to be two truths and a lie. So you tell me two true facts about yourself, and then one fact is going to be a lie. I'm going to have to guess which one is the lie. But don't tell me what's the correct one until the end of the show. Okay?
Okay, can do. All right. So I know you'll be able to sort it out as we go through questions, I'm sure, through the interview, but I'm ready for you. Okay. So I have a full-time career on top of my triathlon training. I did Division I rowing in college, and I absolutely love swimming.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with the one that's probably the most. It's the one that I would think is the most obvious. Is the one that the lie is the swimming. You love swimming, because I've only met a few people that said they actually love swimming. But again, don't tell me which one I'm right or wrong until the end.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. All right. So again, this show is about you and sharing your story as a way to kind of inspire and motivate someone else who's interested in interested in becoming an athlete. So I always tell people, think of it as you're telling your origin story or how you got to being the athlete that you are. I'm a comic book fan. I love superheroes. So, this is your origin story. So how did you become the triathlete that you are?
Awesome. Well, before I get into that, speaking of comic books, I'm a huge comic book fan myself, Batman, X-Men. My dog is named Remy LeBeau after Gambit, so I thought you might enjoy that one.
Gambit.
One of my favorite characters. So I get the vibe of how your origin. Yes. Definitely. But so my origin honestly is like everyone else's that gets kind of into triathlon, doing sports your whole life. I grew up surfing. I grew up playing tennis, volleyball, softball, you name it, every sport you could possibly do. Then I went and walked on to the Division I crew team at college. And because I was originally going to walk on to the volleyball team, but apparently the rowing team was much more successful. So I said, I want to win stuff. So I ended up walking on to the crew team and did that in college. And then when I left college, I kind of was missing that competitiveness that I had all through my childhood of just constantly games, tournaments, that camaraderie. So I had moved to Hawaii. I was living on the North Shore for my 20s pretty much after college. And I met a couple of girlfriends. I grew up surfing as to why I was on the North Shore, but met a couple of girlfriends who were into triathlon. And to spend some time with them, I'm like, sure, I'll go for a run. I'll go for a swim. And next thing you know, I completely fell in love with training with them. Just playing bikes, especially getting all my open ocean swims on the North Shore of Oahu. You can't complain 1 ounce. So it I just kind of fell into it. I did my first sprint triathlon with them. And next thing you know, I was signing up for like an Ironman. And so it went from like 0 to 60 really fast for me. And I'm very type A personality. Everything is very meticulous, everything is structured, scheduled. So this sport really fed into that. And really, I found I kind of thrived in that structure and routine even more so than I had, because I was missing that from college. When you get up at like 4:30 a.m. and walk down to the boathouse, and then you have all your classes, you have your second workout, everything's planned and structured. So I really fell into that and just thrived.
Okay. So I'm finna say one thing that's gonna make me sound a little jealous. You were in Hawaii. You
I was.
you had a chance to just the I that's one of my dream locations, just to go cycling and running, and you were there that you can do it every day.
Yes. I loved it. I left New York, where I grew up, where I graduated college, and I moved to the North Shore because I wanted to be able to work and be able to surf and make money, so that like it wasn't a struggle. If you moved to like another country, it would have been harder for me to be able to make an income and take care of myself. So North Shore it was, and it was amazing. It was some of the best years of my life in my 20s. Did I want to end up there forever? Because it was a hustle. I didn't have like a career per se, because I was juggling the wanting to live on the North Shore. If I wanted a real career, I was going to have to commute. I probably could have gone into something more like real estate or something along those lines, which would have been amazing. But I just didn't have that mental capacity to realize like those were some of my options. So it was a lot of a hustle, so to maintain a lifestyle there forever. But I absolutely loved it. It was some of the best years of my life, getting to surf the North Shore, some of the best surf breaks in the world, getting to work out. The wind sucks. Don't get me wrong. So when you're riding your bike, if you hate windy conditions, that is the one pitfall. But yeah, I got really, really lucky in life. I've had a lot of different chapters, and that was a really good one.
Okay, it sounds like it. It sounds like it. All right, so
Yeah.
we've heard your origin story. So getting
Yes.
into triathlon, like you were saying, is structured. It's
Yeah.
very, you have to have a plan, how you're gonna approach things. So what does training look like for you? What does like a day of training, a week of training, or a month of training look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so it depends on my race schedule. If I'm doing a full, if I'm doing a half, I generally don't do, I do Olympic distance for fun. I love to pepper them in to break up training, but I generally don't make them my A races. I like the longer distance. And
Yeah.
sprints, I'm getting too old. Those young kids can kick my butt every day of the week on a sprint. So I stick to the longer distance. But so it depends. I mean, it ranges anywhere from a recovery week could be 8 hours to, if you're training for a full, it can be up to 22 hours. But because I juggle a full time job that I'm really passionate about as well, you get up. My goal is to get up early, get my first workout done before all my meetings start. And then I try and sneak off to the pool for my lunch hour, or I try and fit in my secondary workout sometime in between meetings during the day. Even if I have a meeting that's just a listen in meeting, I'll hop on the treadmill or the trainer too, even if it's a beautiful day outside, to make sure I get it in, because I am not a nighttime person. So after work, I'm really bad at executing workouts really well. So if I don't get it done during the day, it's more likely to have been failed later in the day. And that's just personally me. Some people are better at like, they'll start working out at 7 o'clock at night. I want to be laying in bed watching terrible TV with a pile of my cats and dogs on me and doing nothing. So that's kind of it really depends on the race. But my coach is amazing and really structures things based on the goals that we set at the beginning of the year. I like to have a plan at the beginning of the year, and it can change based on injuries or illnesses. But I like to have my lineup of what I want to race that year, and then we start to plan around it together. I've been working with him for over 10 years. So he's been like my just keeping me sane and keeping me on track of making sure I get what I need to get in. But so it kind of varies depending on the goals of the year.
Okay. Okay. So how do you like working with a coach? I always ask this because there are some people like me that, yeah, I can do it on my own, but then there are some people that are I have to have a coach.
Yes, I'm one of those. So I am so I'm always making decisions at my company for work. I'm always in a leader type position. So for me, I like to shut my brain off. I don't want to look at my numbers. I don't want to look at my data. I don't want to look at the plan. I don't want to look at my TSS. I want somebody else to do it and to tell me what I need to do, because I've now worked 40 plus hours in a week easily, and I'm thinking and I'm on
Right.
and I'm providing direction. I don't want to do that. I definitely have, self-coached in my previous years, but for the most part, I've always had a coach. This is like my second or third coach, if you can believe it. And I've been working with Rob for over 10 years now. But
Oh, wow.
it's,
Wow.
and so I've just stuck with him because we just click. He gets me, but I could not function. He talks me off the ledge if I, have a bad workout, and then he'll go through the data with me of just why my TSS, I was so high, I was so stressed this week. What did I do? I really need that extra support, and I need to not think so thoroughly. I know plenty of people that they say that takes the fun out of working out and out of training and triathlon. But for me, it's the complete opposite. I wouldn't get the structure. Like right now, I'm in off season because I had to pull the plug on 70.3
Right.
Worlds in December. And so I'm in off season. So I have no coaching right now because we take a small break and then we pick up at the beginning of the year. And I'm like a lost puppy trying to figure out, okay, like what should I do today? And I don't have anything to train for. So I need a coach personally.
Okay. All right. So, a part of coaching and a part of training is fueling. So, what do you generally do when it comes to like fueling and preparing for, a race and as well as during training? Because there are some people that fuel one way during training and then they fuel another way during the actual race.
Yeah. So before a race, I notoriously eat a ridiculous amount of food, like a couple of days leading up to the race. I
Hmm.
um, top off my glycogen stores so that I make sure that if I go into the race and if nutrition falls out of my pocket, or if I lose a bottle, or if, I just forget to not take in enough, I won't bonk because I've topped off my glycogen stores, especially in the 70.3 distance. For me, it's kind of like my forte. So I know how to fuel and top off beforehand so that I don't run the risk of bonking from lack of fuel at any point on race day. Um, but for training, it depends. If you have like shorter, sharper workouts, if I have more volume, I'm good about eating before training more than I am race morning. I use a lot of quick burning fuels like cereal. Unfortunately, I'm gluten free because I think I've developed celiacs as I've aged. And then I'm also vegetarian, so I also have very particular things. So I can be a bit of a pain in the butt. But like I'll use like cereal if I have a short, sharp workout that I need to execute because it's quick burning. If I have something longer and more arduous, I'll do oatmeal with some berries because of the carbs and the longer, slower burning fuel of oatmeal. I will, I'm really good about, thank goodness, I work with the feed, and I'm so grateful for them, because the amount of fuel you go through when you're Ironman training, I'm really big on the carb gels and the carb drinks. And I take in a lot in every second, a lot of goo. I have very particular stomach too, so I stick to the products that work, and I never change what I use training for race day. I don't use the gels and things that I'm not familiar with in the race tent. And I'm notoriously bad coming back from workouts and not fueling right away, where you should get in a protein shake or something, because I have to take my dogs for a walk or something, and they're the priority. So I'm notorious for like grabbing an apple or a banana, and I have, just so I don't pass out while I'm walking them. So I'm not the best at the after fuel, but for pre-workout and during workout, I do really, really well with that. So I feel like I should get a pass for the after workout, because the dogs come first.
Yeah, our pets come first. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Bless you. All right. So you just said something that was very interesting. It's going to kind of stem a conversation now. You said you're a vegetarian, correct?
Yes.
All right. So how do you see? Because I've seen two sides of the house. Vegetarians as well. Well, I count vegans as well. That you're not as strong of an athlete. Your performance is not the same level as someone who just eats everything. So what's been your experience with that?
So I've been a vegetarian since I was very young. I don't know any
Okay.
different lifestyle choice. I didn't jump on like the bandwagon of, when the Netflix documentaries come out and why you should be vegan. Like, I haven't eaten meat in a very, very,
Yep.
very long time. And I do it, though I never did it for health reasons. I did it because of animals and animals' rights. I dabble with being vegan because it's still detrimental to them and dairy farms and things, and I need to do better. I have never found a problem with it personally. I've never had issues. I do have to stay on top of my B12 and my iron. But also, as a woman, that's very common. A lot of women don't eat a ton of red meat, and that, a lot of them eat, they have their periods, and you lose iron that way. So that's a very common thing, even for women who aren't vegetarians. So, I do personally think that each person is different. You shouldn't just be a vegetarian to be a vegetarian. You may perform better off of eating meat and dairy. I do think some people do perform better off of eating just plant-based. So I'm not one that's going to preach to say the vegan or vegetarian diet is going to be more beneficial. I am going to say, if you love animals, maybe eat meat a little less during the week, but that's just how I feel. I don't think it's a one size fits all for everyone. I did do food sensitivity, and I did do blood work, and it shows I probably should eat more meat than I do, because I don't eat meat. I had a lot
Right.
of allergies associated with several vegetables and things. So that's when I went from vegan to back to vegetarian, because I thought maybe I could help balance that out a little bit. But I don't really have, I wouldn't say one's better than the other. I think you need to look at what works best for you. And I think we try and force opinions on people for, what we think is best. It may work for us, but not for others.
All right. That's good advice. Good advice. All right. So, you are this world traveling triathlete. And I usually ask the question of, is there a dream race that you would want to do, just anywhere in the world? But is there some place you want to do, or you like, yeah, I've done everything I wanted to do?
No, I mean, it's always a matter of what I'm feeling that year. I know that sounds crazy. I love going, any excuse to go to France or Spain.
Right.
like my two favorite countries, I'm always down for. But honestly, anything that kind of tickles my fancy at the beginning of the season, kind of like, ooh, I want to do this. Like I got to race in Greece, which I had never been to Greece, and I absolutely loved it. And so it's fun to just see at the beginning of the year where I feel like going and what Ironman, because I generally stick to mostly Ironman branded races. I've done,
Okay.
the challenge races.
Right.
I've done, but I like the Ironman branding of, even though they they don't have some of the best tactics, well, but they're getting better, I guess. But I do like their venues. I do like a lot of their race courses. They've done great. I mean, when you go to Europe to race them, they're very well done. So I don't have one that sticks out. At the beginning of the year, I'll figure out what I'm thinking. But because I already qualified for 2025 Worlds in Marbella, I think I'm just, because it's in Spain, one of my favorites, I'm just going to make it a long trip and go ride my bike around Spain and just kind of make it a whole trip. And that will be my big adventure for the year because, and then I'll keep it a little more local.
I'm so jealous. So, since you love Iron Man, do you have the tattoo on the back of your calf?
No. And I'm covered in tattoos too. I have a sleeve, I have my ribs done,
Yeah.
I have almost a sleeve on my leg, and I still, no, I'm okay.
Okay. I know there's a lot of people that are like, yes, I'm an Iron Man. I love Iron Man, and they get the tattoo on the back of their calf. So that's why I was asking.
To be fair, if I went to the Olympics, I would totally do the rings. I struggle with the branding. Everyone, to each his own. There's no judgment being laid out here. I struggle with getting like a brand that could potentially go out of business. It's kind of like getting the Nike swoosh to me. Like that's my only personal opinion. I do think people should be very prideful of like everything that they do in those distances. I just wear, as you can see, I have my hoodie on. I just wear all the branding on my clothing because that's all I own. So I'll take ownership of that.
Okay. All right. Here comes the fun conversation. I'm looking at your screen in the background. I see two beautiful bikes back there. So,
Yeah.
first of all, first question, what are those bikes? And the second question, do
Yes.
you name your bikes?
I Okay, first question. So I have my TT bike back there, my Shiv, Specialized Shiv. I have my new Canyon road bike. It's the SLX 8. And then I have upstairs, I have a bike that lives on the trainer. Of course, it's still a Specialized S Works bench because I'm ridiculous. But it's my older Gen 1. And so it gets to live on the trainer. And then I also have my SL6 tarmac upstairs as well. I do name them occasionally. I so like my Venge, I call her V. But I like sometimes I just like I've had my tarmac forever, and I've never named my tarmac. I'll call her Tarmacky sometimes, but like I don't have a like chosen. And it's funny because I name everything. I named my plants outside. It's weird that I haven't named all of my bikes, to be honest.
You named your plants, but you didn't name your bikes.
I know. And to be fair, the Canyon is like really new, so I haven't been that creative. I was trying to think of like, something for the red, maybe ruby or something, and I wasn't feeling it. So yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Okay. All right. You got Specialized, you got Canyon. Which
Yeah.
one do you like better?
Ooh.
I've had Specialized, and now I've gotten Canyon. This is my personal preference. I'm leaning toward Canyon a little more than Specialized.
Yeah. Well, so it's hard because I've always ridden Specialized since I
Right.
started cycling and triathlon. I worked in bike shops that always sold Specialized. I had an ambassadorship with them for a while. So I've always been Specialized. So this was like one of my first bikes away from Specialized. And I was trying to see what all the hype was. You know, everyone's winning Ironmans on canyons. Everyone's winning, you know, Grand Tours and winning major cycling events on canyon. So I was like, let me give this bike a shot. And plus, it has a more tolerable price point, which I really, to be honest, I couldn't afford a new bike at the time. But for, you know, mental health, you just do things silly like that. And I bought a bike that I couldn't really afford. So it was nice that it was a more tolerable price point. I hate to give Specialized this, but I really like when I rode my Specialized, like I felt it and I loved those bikes. I loved how they handled. I mean, one of the first rides on Mount Diablo where I live, it's this fantastic mountain. It's just shy, I think it's like 3,500 feet from the bottom to the top. So it's a great place to train. One of my first rides, descents on my tarmac, I got, you know, the QOM on a portion of the descent from like a major one from our junction to the tire poppers at the bottom, just because she handled beautifully. And so it's a tough pill to swallow to walk away from them. They burned me a few times on just the ambassadorship, and then some warranty issues I had with them that they just, you know, a fork was broken based on just the design. And they, you know, it took forever for them to get me one, and then it was a different color, and and so it's like I had to pay to get it painted. And then there was a chainstay there. It looked like the chain had whipped on the center of the chainstay, broke, and they claimed it was impact. So I've had a lot of troubles with them, and I know I'm burning a bridge right now on this podcast with them. So that's why I was trying to move away. So it's tough. The Canyon, I like her. She's a good ride. I don't love all aspects of the bike. I wouldn't say I'm going to buy a Canyon TT bike next. I don't know what my TT bike is going to be, but I wouldn't. I'm not head over heels like I was with my Specialized bikes. And so, but she rides great. I just think some of the they have the 3-piece new handlebars for like the SLX8. And I don't know why I was like, I'm smarter than this. That's totally gimmicky. You don't need that. And it's a really, it's a failure point. Like if somebody was really a hardcore sprinter or a crit racer, like I would never recommend that because it's just too easy of a failure point if you're really putting in hard, like a strong man putting in hard pressure on that. So, I mean, I should know better than that, but I totally was like, let me give this bike a try. And so I don't hate her. I'm not head over heels though.
Okay.
That was really long-winded. Sorry.
You're passionate. You're showing your passion.
Yes, I think Colnago is going to be my next bike choice when I finally make some more money.
Okay. All right. So let's get into shoes. Everybody has a set of shoes, a pair of shoes that they just live by. There are some people that like, I only wear, like me, I'm speaking for myself. I'm a Hoka person. You know, I only wear Hoka. Because if Hoka made a dress shoe, I would wear a Hoka dress shoe.
I love that.
But my shoes mainly Hoka. You know, some people have Saucony, some people are Nike, which I don't understand why, but I won't go into that. You know, some people have their own shoe. What's your shoe? And I'm gonna feel really embarrassed if you say Nike.
Mine was Nike for a while. I lived and died by the Vaporflies and their Tempos that they had, and then they stopped making the Tempos. And they were great shoes. And then I got lucky enough to my friend Jared, Emma Pallet Brown's husband, who's amazing. Both of them are. He hooked me up with some Hokas that their new race Hokas, the CX ones, I think they're called, and I love them. Love them. And I raced Nice in them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had some issues and I was sick, and so I didn't race. I participated, but they were amazing that whole run. But it really, I will probably get another pair of these before I go back to Nike. So
Okay.
I'm on your bandwagon now.
Like I said, I've been in the Rocket X. I took this year off of racing, but then I saw that shoe that you were talking about. I was like, "Ooh, I want to try it. I want to try it," but I don't want to buy a pair and I'm not racing in them. But I think a new pair is coming very soon, a version 2. So I'm like, perfect.
I know I don't have any trainers right now, so I'm also doing my just running in them. And I'm like, oh God, this is so wasteful, but I don't have anything at that moment. I'm not somebody who has like 10 pairs of running shoes at once. I have like 2.
Oh, okay. Let's move on. I'm one of those people that have multiple pairs of shoes that like, okay, these are my winter running shoes. These are my winter race shoes. These are my winter trainer. Yes, I'm one of those people.
And I know so many more people like that than like me that only have their trainers and their race shoes. And then once my race shoes start to retire, they go to my trainers and I buy a new pair of race shoes. That's like, I don't know why I do that. Everyone else has a million pairs and it's probably the better way to do things. I've just always done that.
Right. Now I do rotate. Once I get the mileage up, I do rotate. I say, okay, these are now my day-to-day trainers. Let me go get a new one. That's my excuse. Like, hey, see, the sole's worn out on them. Time to get a new one.
New pair. Yep.
All right. So with with being a triathlete, it's very, you have to be very strict about how you approach things, how you approach your training, how you approach races. How do you see that helping you in your day-to-day life as well, as your day-to-day personal life as well as your work professional life?
It just keeps me more structured, like I had mentioned, and organized. So each minute of your day is accounted for. It makes you more efficient. I just watched the Martha Stewart documentary on Netflix, and she was just like, I hate waste and I hate inefficiency. And I couldn't agree more. And I feel like you having to balance both paying for races, scheduling your, everyday life, all of it is just this balance of making sure, okay, you're not wasteful in what you spend each month. You're not wasteful in your time to make sure you get all of your training in. I really feel like it's just a really good, especially for a type A personality. Not all personalities are going to succeed in doing that. A lot more people need to be less structured and more relaxed. And that's fine, but I'm not that way. So I find that even I'm a project manager. So scheduling and tracking everything and having Excels for everything, I just feel like it all kind of feeds into each other. It is all kind of the same in how you tackle life and work, just being planned and structured in general. That's kind of, for me personally, that's where I find the benefits. It just keeps me in line to just stay on top of everything.
Okay. All right, this is a two-part question. First, what was your biggest mistake you've made as an athlete? And then the second part of that question, what is your proudest moment as an athlete?
Good ones. I like these. Biggest mistake is not listening to my coaches, is to always go fit in an extra workout. do a longer run, move a workout, be like, I feel fresh, so I'm not going to run in the zones they give you. This 10 out of 10 times has led me to overtraining or injuries. And and Rob is actually not the only coach that has experienced this with me. Previous coaches have, and they constantly, only with age have I really learned, listen to the process. You're paying them to do this for a reason, and they know better. And that is probably one of my biggest mistakes is, for my goodness, I've been doing this since my early 20s. Just not paying close enough attention to what my coaches are saying and not trusting the process, and just constantly going too hard, too much, running in the gray, which will get you every day. You're never going to get faster running in the gray. So it's, I would say if you are one of the people who pay for a coach, listen to your coach. You're paying them for a reason. If you trust them, if you don't trust your coach, then you need a new coach.
You think?
Yeah. So that's probably my biggest mistakes. And then my, what I'm most proud of, right, is that was the second part of the question. So yes. I would say overall, my career as an athlete, I've been doing this for like 16-ish plus years now. I've had all sorts of illnesses. I got Epstein-Barr virus for like years. I've had blood infections. I've had anemia. Everyone gets anemia. Not everyone, but you know what I mean. I had a gnarly bike crash in 2019, and I broke about every bone you could possibly have. And I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I clawed back out. And just the resilience to keep doing this for 16 years and make this such a priority. I've had 8 million breakups, and and just you keep going, and just you keep making it competitive and showing up. And Rob, my coach, has really gotten me the success in my age group, career over the past, however many years. And I just feel like I'm just really prideful that I've kept going, that nothing has really just like had me benched or sidelined forever. I haven't given up. I haven't, thrown in the towel. And I've remained competitive still. Like I've made it still where I get to travel and race and enjoy it all, but still remain competitive. So that's kind of what I'm most proud of.
Okay. And I would be too.
Yeah.
All right. So it takes a lot of commitment to be a triathlete. It takes a lot of commitment to just get out and just be active. Whether not necessarily if you're gonna be a triathlete, but just to get up and run, just to get up and go for a walk. Just to get up and just be active. But trying to promote that, and kind of get other people to kind of see the advantages of doing that, especially when they go like, oh, I'm too old to do that. I'm too busy. I have work, I have kids. I don't have time to do it. This is just not for me. So what would be your advice to someone who says that?
Well, here is to where I like to respect individuality. If somebody has health issues, or just for mental wellness, they need to get out and work out. I would say you're never too old. Yeah, maybe if you're 60 and you're getting into it, you're not going to the Olympics. I get that, but it's right. Like, but just to get out, and even the 20 minutes on like the Peloton before you start your day is going to promote so much better thought process, just make you more productive in work, because it's going to get you firing. Plus, as women, they show studies now that as we get older, shorter in very short, intense workout is much better for us than these long kind of zone 2 cardios. We just don't get the same benefits. To be clear, I'm not a scientist. Things could change. Like, don't quote me on it. But like, so even getting 15, 20 minutes in will really, really, really help just feel better about yourself. If you are one of those people, I know so many people that hate exercise, and that's totally okay too. Like, finding your passion in something, trying to be healthy in other capacities. You don't want to just be a waste and unhealthy and having your family take care of you, really early on in life. But like, you're allowed to have other passions too. So I don't always want to push people saying you have to work out, you have to do this. Doing the most basics of walking your dog, but then maybe focusing on your gardening, or something that's a little different type of activity, but that's more your passion. I'm all about that, as well as keeping the balance. I don't think we need every human being running a 5K or doing an Ironman. I think we need that balance in perspectives, but still remaining somewhat physical and active. Of gardening is a prime example. I get exhausted. I finally have a yard, and yeah, it's the tiniest yard alive, but I can actually garden in it, and it's exhausting. So, I mean, I just little things like that. I promote just movement in general, and would say any type of movement is good.
Yes. I agree. I totally agree. All right. Before I let you go, the most important question I'm going to ask you, and you open that door up at the beginning of the show. DC Comics, Marvel Comics. Which one?
Okay, well, so that's really hard for me because I am a Batman person through and through. Like, I had a bat signal in my room. So my dad was an electrician growing up. He bent neon and did things like that. So growing up, he made me a bat signal for my room. And
Nice.
it was the coolest thing. It's still in my mom's house. I still am insistent that I want to get it here in my house that I own now. So it's hard because I'm biased because of Batman. Do I think Marvel has other better characters? Yes, beyond Batman. But because I'm so biased, I mean, I have Batman pillowcases still on my bed. So we'll just put that in the perspective that I'm going to automatically be biased. So I have to, I guess, say DC because of him. But in general, Marvel has more other interesting characters.
Okay, I will accept that. Hey, I'm kind of the both ways. I lean more toward Marvel, but then there are characters DC. I'm like, yeah, but I do like it. I am a huge Superman fan. I do like Superman.
I do like Superman, definitely. Do I choose Batman over Superman every day of the week? I also do like the Batman Superman movie. That was a struggle, that one.
All right, before I let you go, two truths and a lie.
Yes.
Did I get it right? The love of swimming.
Yes. I hate swimming.
Very few people. I was gonna say very few people I've talked to say like, "Oh, I just love swimming." That's my favorite event of a triathlon.
Yeah, no, only true blue swimmers who like swam in college love swimming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The ones that say it are ones who were, yeah, I grew up swimming. I was on the high school swim team. I was on the college swim team. Yes, you love swimming.
Yeah, not I. And it's funny that I've been doing triathlon for so long, and I show up and I go to the pool 4 times a week, and you're like, I've forced myself to do this for 16 plus years, and I hate this sport. It's so funny, but you just have to kind of suck it up, and at least you can get a tan in the summer. That's how I look at it.
Okay, there you go. Well, Well, Hallie, I appreciate you coming on the show. This has been a great conversation.
Oh, absolutely. I can't thank you enough for having me on, Eric. And this is great. I love your show. I definitely recommend all the other podcast listens. I caught up on a bunch of them before ours. And so I definitely recommend to anyone that takes time to listen to go back and listen to a bunch of the other ones too.
Oh, thank you. The check will be in the mail.
Yes, I was not paid for that whatsoever. I promise the audience. That was a true statement that I made.
All right. If anybody wants to kind of get in contact with you, if they wanted to follow you, how can they do that?
So I am an Instagram junkie. I need to reel it in a little bit, maybe. So they can find me on Instagram at Hallie Fitzsimons. I just keep my name. I'm not creative enough I don't have any cool nicknames. It's just at Hallie Fitzsimons. And then that's the best way. I don't have a million followers, so I answer all DMs and questions and comments and look at stuff. So I really like to be in touch and involved. Especially, I meet so many amazing athletes and teammates. I'm on Team Varlo, which I'm so grateful for. They're amazing. And so I get to meet and talk to all my teammates through, through Instagram. We all chat with each other. And so that's the best way to get in touch with me. I'll absolutely respond and I'll absolutely follow back and cheer people on.
All right. Hallie, again, thank you for coming on the show.
Yes. Thank you so much, Eric.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in each week. If you enjoyed today's show, please support us by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember to tell your friends about the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast, so we can continue to have awesome conversations with everyday athletes just like you. Until next time, have an amazing week.